Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we're talking to Mike Ward. Check it out. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I'm talking to singer-songwriter Mike Ward. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing really good, Chuck.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you. And we've got fans, Steve, Lori, Danny, and Angela. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Excellent. Good. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And Mike, thank you. I'd read, and so I really need to thank Lori first because I've been keeping in touch with the Stratton set list because I love the way she writes, and I love the fact that she does like an interview and then has like her review of that music mixed in. And so I saw yours, I saw Mike Ward's, Psycho Songs, and then, Day and Night. And I was like, I was interested and I was intrigued, and I meant to reach out to you, and then you reached out to me. So it's kind of serendipitous there. But the thing that I'm really interested in is, how did you come up with the tagline Psycho Songs? Because to me, that brings up a thing like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? And then singer-songwriter. Huh.
Yeah. So my nickname for a long time was Psycho Ward. And it comes from years of Irish temper, playing hockey, heavy stress in the world of advertising and slamming fists into walls and things like that. I don't do too much of that anymore. I do still play hockey, but I'm not Psycho Ward on the ice anymore. I'm an irritant, if anything, because I just get in people's way. But when I put the first album, We Wonder, up on Spotify, actually, I think it was before that. It was when my son and my daughter actually took a bunch of my home demos. They put them up on iTunes and Spotify for a birthday present about 7 years ago, and it was like just I had been using Psycho Songs as my copyright and my publishing name anyway, so I just went with it. Probably in retrospect would have been better to use my middle name or something to distinguish it, to keep my name. But, it does start a conversation. I have had some, folk people kind of cringe there, but I don't play traditional folk anyway. I mean, I do some I do Irish music and whatnot at the Gaelic League, but even that's kind of crazy. And so Psycho Songs just seems to fit me.
That's cool. That's awesome. Because I was thinking Psycho Song that fits in with what I usually. I mean, because I'm primarily a heavy metal person, so I listen to. I have a wide range of music I love, but when I saw Psycho Songs, I go, this could be interesting.
And then you listened to it and you went, it's not really Psycho Songs.
well, then I started thinking. So I was thinking, because there are. When you listen to your music and read your lyrics, there's a psychological aspect to some of what you're looking at, the delving into the emotions, delving into the stories that have things about loss and the feelings you have. And so I thought, maybe it's psycho because it's psychological. But I like the fact that it's just because you're psycho. So that's awesome.
You can ask the people that used to work with me at Donor Advertising about it.
So
they know all too well.
Well, I know that you've said in your bio, as well as when you were talking to Lori, that you kind of got into this game late. So was it the fact that your son and your daughter like put those songs out there that got you to think, I should record my own music?
It did. I mean, it was like sort of concurrent with the idea that I was turning 60. I had kind of a target date where I wanted to retire. And I thought, I need to figure out if I'm really going to do this. Because I've been it had been like this, you kind of are in it for a while you're working, and then you get busy. And I probably went sometimes 2 years without picking up a guitar at all,
Oh, wow.
and probably went 5 years without writing a song at times, which seems hard to believe now because now I'm like, I'm just always writing. But definitely when they put it on to, when Danny and Amelia, my daughter's name is Amelia, when they did that, it was like, oh, well, I guess I really have to do this now. And so, but even then, it took me a few years to sort of ramp up because I just had been so out of practice and so not performing and not really in tune with it. And it took me a while to sort of get to that point. And when we moved to Detroit, I met so many people that helped me. So many musicians, singer-songwriters. My friend Dave Tanyez, who's a young guy who runs the open mic at the Ghostlight, but he's also
awesome.
in a band called Border Patrol, and they're fantastic. They are partly in Canada and partly here, so they've been on quite a hiatus
Yeah.
during all this. But Dave and I do a lot of shows together, but he sort of kind of took me in. He was hosting the Park Bar at that time, and he would have me co-host sometimes or host when he had to be out of town, and I started to learn that. Then I hosted two other open mics for a couple years, and I really think that experience helped me. Certainly helped me learn who all the writers were and who all the talented folks were around
Right.
here. So that helped, but it really got me going to get in front of people on a weekly basis.
Cool. So your last album, The Darkness and the Light, again, thanks to Lori, you mentioned that you had been going through your dad's old slides and
Yeah.
and feeling those memories. And I was wondering and your dad was an amateur photographer, so was the concept of photography at all in the aspect of documenting your life sort of a theme that you were thinking of, at least maybe in the title or in some of the music that you wrote?
I think for that album it was less so. I think when you hear the next body of work that I'm going to produce, there's probably going to be 2 albums because I'm in the process right now. We're going to start mixing 21 songs.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of those songs were songs directly about my dad and about my mom, about my family. There are some songs on the other 2 albums that sort of dive into that, but they're less direct. But I will say the arts in general were always an influence on me and my dad, and his sort of capturing life
Yeah.
was always part of it.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Fans with Bands isn't just about me talking to Mike and everybody sitting here looking at us. It's about you guys being able to ask questions. So, Lori, Steve, Danny, do you guys have any questions for Mike?
I don't have a question, but I just want to reach out to Danny. I've never met him, but I just want to say thank you for telling your dad to follow his dreams. It's usually the other way around. The parent is telling their children to follow their dreams. So I just want to say thank you, Dan, for getting your dad to do this, because I'll tell you what, listening to your dad's music has been such a joy to me. So thanks for encouraging your dad to follow his dreams, man.
Yes.
He did it for me first. So at a certain point, I had to start returning the favor, and I had a few of his cassette tapes, because everything he had recorded was on old cassettes.
Yeah.
And it was all analog. So
Yeah.
I converted my favorite tracks to digital and then put them together, and then started a record label and got them out there. And it was like, I've never done this. It was like Googling every step of the way and calling friends and asking. And my sister and I were able to keep it secret from him long enough that when we like presented it to him and like opened iTunes and there was his album and it was just this face of like, I don't understand. they're in the cabinet.
For sure.
Oh man.
That was exactly
And
it.
then I think your first year you made it was like $9.21.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've never seen someone more excited about $9. Like, I was getting emails and messages from coworkers at Donor, and like I grew up at the agency, so I'm friends with a lot of them, and I was getting messages from Gail often wrote me a message. She's like, so your dad is very excited about $9.
It's not much more than that now.
Oh man. So Mike, when did you actually start playing music? When did you get into
I actually started singing when I was real young, like 9, in there in school choir or in church choir. And I did that all the way up. I stayed involved in church choirs really up until I was about 20, because I became a cantor at church, and I would go in each week and learn the music. And that taught me a lot about vocal training. But I took guitar lessons when I was like 13 from this really strange dude. And I learned, but I wasn't a very good student, and I wanted it to come easy. I wanted to play like my buddy Mike O'Brien, who could play, he could play The Who and he could play Jimi Hendrix. I was
right?
here I was struggling with 3 chords.
I know
So
that feeling.
I put it down for a while, but thank goodness my parents always had a guitar in the house, and I still have that guitar.
Oh,
It's an
nice.
old Gibson that my mom gave to my dad in 1947.
Really awesome.
So I'm very fortunate to be the current user of it, holder of it. But I went back to playing guitar right after high school, actually, because I was part of a duo. We used to, my buddy Dave Stein from Port Huron, he played guitar, and he would play, and the two of us would sing. And I actually wrote a song that I never knew. I just sang it to him, and he figured out the chords, and we would play it. And then right after high school, he got married, and got a job, and it was like I figured, well, if I want to keep doing this, because I kind of enjoy it, I need to learn how to play.
Yeah.
So I crudely learned how to play. I would take songs that I knew, and that I knew by ear, and I would just figure out the chords, and I would learn how to play. And they were Neil Young songs and Paul Simon songs, and
Nice.
stuff like that. Later when John Prine came along, that was a perfect guy for me, because his sense of humor and his style of play I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was in college, I had a buddy who, a guy that lived down the hall from me. I was at Siena Heights College in Adrian, and I had been playing a few years at that point, and I'd played some bars and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I knew I wasn't, I knew I like to sing more than I like to play at that point. And this guy said, you sing really well, but you don't play so good. He said, I suggest that you take the next 6 months and don't sing, just play.
Oh.
Just learn how to play better.
Yeah.
And I did that, and it really helped. And every now and then I still do that. I'll take a period of time where I won't sing. I'll just try and learn to play better. So.
Nice. Well, I think you play. That's something. I mean, so when I talked about my metal background, part of that for me, as far as like, because I'll be honest, like I don't like all singer songwriters. I do like your music because I enjoy your voice. And I'm just putting that out there
Thank you.
because sometimes it doesn't resonate with me because
Got it.
but if it has good guitar and good voice, I really like it. And that's why I really like your music, because I think you are a good guitar player in that you're, I like the articulation. I like the dynamics that you're getting into your music, and it really fits well with your voice. And the combination is very, it resonates with me, as opposed to some things where I listen to it and I'm like, this is not for me. Not that other people don't love it, but it just doesn't work, right? So I think you've that woodshedding in the with the guitar has paid off. So
Thanks.
yeah. So I just saw that the song I think it was called "Content" is the most
All
recent one.
right.
Yeah, and
It's content. It's content.
content. Oh,
And
sorry.
we love that because I the first time I ever did a radio interview, the host said, he said and he asked me to play a song, and I said, he said, are you going to play content? And I said, well, the name of the song is Content. And he came back at me and he goes, well, it's on the air now. And, he says, technically it's content now.
Right.
I went, okay, but it's content. Yeah.
Awesome. So what's the story behind that song? How did you develop that?
That was developed from, I started writing a series of like sort of opposites, or, just trying to look at language in some cases with that, but also of a mind of trying to get to, there were some lines about regret, some lines about, when you say, how do you, now I'm trying to remember the words here. I'm like going, I can't even remember the first lyric. But there's a lot of things like, when searching for a forest, all I found was a tree, or, just trying to play with those ideas of like things not being right, or things not being quite right. And, the notion that a simple life in a complex world is sort of the premise, I guess.
Yeah.
But more really, when I tell people, it's like, it's less about being content with the life you live now, but more about how are you going to be viewed when you leave this earth. And that's, when the money's all spent, are you going to leave this world completely content?
Yeah. I really like that.
And the verse one of the verses that came first, I think I was intending it to maybe be a funnier song. And sometimes I wish I had smoked more dope, read more books, used less soap, gone to sleep later, planted more trees, learned a language to say fromage instead of cheese. So, that line usually gets a laugh, and I like playing that live because, it's like, I like to wait for that line to sink in.
Yeah. So what is when you have fans, when you release your music, what do you want your fans to take away from that? What feelings are you trying to instill in them? Or is there really a goal for the fans? Is it more about how you want to express yourself? And if somebody can resonate with it, then that's great. Or do you really want them to pick up some kind of message or have a certain feeling when they experience your music?
I think for me, the mixes of all the songs that I do are lyrics forward. So it's my voice at this point. No one else is singing my songs right now, but I like the lyrics to be forward because that's what I spend a lot of time on. And I feel like messages about aging, messages about you know, the world, No Way to Live is a message about homelessness, but then you have How Sweet Your Dreams, which is a message to both of my kids, who I imagine, when I wrote that, I imagined them as tiny babies because I never wrote them songs when they were really little. And a couple of the songs came from song prompts from workshops.
Oh, really?
Our turn to shine. Why can't that be enough? And In the Light. And like, they have a certain part of me, I guess, that is like self-deprecating, or that I try not to take myself too seriously, even though I do write some serious songs, but I try to keep a certain lightness or edge to that. Our Turn to Shine, I think, it has that part of it, and but then there's songs like Midnight Veil that has sort of it's veiled with hope. It's darkness that's veiled with hope, and that's, I think, even if I'm writing about something that is as dark as or as tough as homelessness, I want to try and provide some hope, or at least let that come through in some way. And that's really what I hope any listener takes away from my records.
Very nice. I actually was off when I was talking about your music, and the latest single is Career Advice.
Yes.
Which
very different. Totally different.
And I love it because when I got to, don't be a dick, basically, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it doesn't get played on the radio. although Artie, Artie, what's his name? Artie Morello. He played it on his, and God bless Lee Kitzman, he plays it, but it's gotten, it always gets a great response. I wrote it on the heels of my retirement, and actually being asked by a million people at my retirement parties and things like that. And when I retired, what kind of sage words of wisdom would you give to the young people coming up in the world today?
Yeah.
And I just remember my friend Marguerite Paris, we were talking about, just young people coming up today, and Marguerite goes, just tell them to don't be a dick, whatever they do. You can do a lot in this world if you're just not that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so that was a fun one to write. All those jobs were jobs that I held at different times, awesome. and I used my 40 plus years of work experience and my family's work experience to explore that space. As Bruce Dickinson would say, explore the space. Explore the space.
Did you go see him on Sunday?
No. Lori did, right?
I did.
Did you?
I was coming back from Grand Rapids, so I couldn't get out there. So.
It was great. He's a ball of energy. He went on for 2 or 3 hours. He took a break in between. Yeah.
Wow.
He has some great stories. I'll have to fill you in sometime and tell you about it. It was fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And even a friend of mine, who he had extra tickets, and he said, "Do you want them?" And I'm like, I'm not going to be here, so sorry. But yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah. We were on our way back from Grand Rapids as well.
Oh.
Sunday night.
Where
we went to the listening room.
Oh,
cool.
My friend Kyle Rashi.
Oh, yeah.
And James, Nicholas James Tamasas. I always get his name wrong. Tamasas. And Sierra Cassidy, who goes by I Am James. 3 folk solo songwriters. They do a show there on one Sunday a month, songwriter night.
Awesome.
At the listening room.
Where is the listening room?
So the listening room, where that new hotel is? There's a restaurant in the basement called 123, and there's a cinema in there. It's right downtown, in the middle of downtown.
Okay. The Hyatt, maybe?
Not the Hyatt. It's called, I think it's the
City.
something Copley, Capley, something like I forget the name of the hotel. It's new. It's the whole complex is new.
Oh,
Because
cool.
the movie theater that's in there, and the restaurant in the basement, and then the listening room is on the second floor. It's about 200 people.
Nice.
Very much like the Arc, but a little bit smaller.
There are times I wish I lived closer to Grand Rapids.
Same here.
Yeah.
And other times I'm super. I mean, I live in Ann Arbor. I love Ann Arbor. I love being able to. I'm only, depending on where in Metro Detroit I'm going to go, it's like hour-ish or it's 45 minutes. So I like that because there's so much variety there. But sometimes the beer scene and sometimes the music over in Grand Rapids. And that's what I went. I went to go to Speciation Ale. And they do some things where they brew a beer for a band. And so I went to see Tiny Trees, which is this two-piece kind of like, I want to say like a post-metal, post-punk kind of thing. Very cool, but it was super dark. Like they turned off all the lights. They had the 2 spotlights on, and I'm trying to take pictures. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? But
Yeah.
it was fun. But
Cool.
yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to get a beer made after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Seriously, that would be so cool. Psycho songs.
That just went on the list.
I think that's good. I think
Mike,
that's good.
you should go talk to. So, because you're in Detroit, great brewery down there in Corktown called Batch Brewing.
Oh yeah, I love Batch.
Yeah.
Those guys are great. I also love Brew Detroit too.
Yes. Yeah.
Brew Detroit is actually my favorite brewery.
Well, and do you know Dave that works there?
I don't know him personally. I know him to buy beer from him.
All right. Well, I'm Facebook
I've talked
friends
to
with
him.
those guys, so I'll try to put the bug in
Yeah?
their ear because
Cool.
that would be really cool. I think it
Oh,
would be
that
fun.
space would be a great space to play in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I diverted into beer. So let's come back.
That's fine with me.
His second favorite topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lori, Steve, Danny, any questions? Or I can keep rolling. Yeah. All right, I'll keep rolling. So I was, part of like the thing I like to do with fans with bands is kind of go back into, and I think you've touched on it a little bit, but kind of get the backstory of where you came from musically, not so much playing, but what you were listening to. So what was the first album you bought? And why did you buy it?
I think it was the first Monkees album.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I will say that's the first one I bought with my money.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a big family. I'm the 7th out of 8 kids. So, I had plenty of music around for me to scrounge around and listen
nice.
to between my parents, who were really eclectic. They liked some classical music. They liked some jazz music, but they really loved folk music. They really loved like Odetta, Joan Baez, and they dug Simon and Garfunkel, and they loved Irish folk music.
Yeah.
The Clancy Brothers and Tommy Makem we had this huge collection of, and I have that. I still have it.
Awesome.
And those songs never left me. I still do them at the Gaelic League, and
Excellent.
I love it. But my older brothers and sisters, they were big into the folk and Bob Dylan. And I remember my sister Catherine, she had bought the single for "I Am a Rock," and then she got a job. Her and my sister had a summer job at Houghton Lake.
Oh.
So they went away for, a couple months in the summer. And when she came back, I had literally worn the grooves out on that record. I had worn it out. I had to buy her a new one. So I guess technically that was my first purchase, was "I Am a Rock." But the first album I bought, that I was passionate about was the Monkees. I love the Monkees.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I love the Stones. I really love the Who, and then Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
You know, they were big on my list. I really, I love Dick Wagner. The Frost was a band that Port Huron. He came to Port Huron a number of times. Came to Marysville, and we loved the Frost and Dick Wagner. And then when he got to be part of Lou Reed's band,
Yeah.
and then he was music director for Alice Cooper, and it was just
Yeah.
he's a big time player, that guy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, but yeah, I mean, I have what I listen to, in terms of my musical tastes, isn't always what I play. I love David Bowie. I'm huge in that time period, and I am a Springsteen fan and Jason Isbell fan,
Yeah.
things like that. But
I was going to say that when I listened to your music, I thought of Jason Isbell.
a number of people have said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a huge compliment, because I think he's one of the best working right now.
Oh yeah.
I think he combines some of what I like about John Prine with a different sensibility of storytelling.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good writer, and man, can that guy play.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I like to take that question around the horn, and so Lori, I can't remember, what was yours?
I think it was Michael Jackson's Thriller. So I think I was about 6. That was
Awesome.
huge at that time. So yeah, that was the first one I ever bought. Yeah. It was a tape.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get that album? Do you remember?
Oh
Was it
man, I think my
watching a video?
brother had it. So I have an older brother. He's 3 years older. And I think he was the one that introduced me to a lot of music. And I just thought that I just loved the songs. I loved to dance to them.
Yeah.
I loved to roller skate. I used to roller skate up and down
Oh, nice.
and when, up and down the hallway with to Billie Jean. It's still my favorite song to dance to of all time. So if
Awesome.
anybody plays at a wedding, it's I'm out there. I love that song.
Now, was it an album or a CD?
It was actually it was a cassette is what I had.
A cassette. Okay.
I wore that
Yeah,
thing
that
out.
makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
the
fantastic.
time, yeah.
Steve, how about you?
I would have to, I think I've still got it. I think the first album I bought was Black Sabbath, I think.
Nice.
I think it was either that or Led Zeppelin, one of the two.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. Well, Led was. I had every album.
Yeah.
And Steve, what inspired you? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. I think I liked the rock and roll. I liked
Yeah.
hard rock and roll. I mean,
Excellent.
it was. I don't know why. It just was. That was.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing you're supposed to listen to anyway back in the day. I mean.
Right. Well,
We all did.
The reason I ask is because I remember looking at albums, and sometimes the cover art, I'd see it and I go, wow, what is this? And you'd buy it just because you thought, oh, it looks cool.
Yeah.
And
Still
then you
do.
get it home and you're like, what in the hell did I buy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I did, sadly Meatloaf has passed away, but I bought that album because I like Black Sabbath and stuff. And so I thought, oh, buy Meatloaf. And I listened to it and I went, what is this? I mean, it was fine, but that was not what I expected. I saw
That was not what
cover.
you expected.
Yeah, no.
Not for
I was expecting Black Sabbath or something like that. And what I got was well, this is different.
Yeah.
So Danny, how about you?
I'm trying to think what the first I bought. There are a few that I remember, but I grew up obviously with a pretty good music collection in the house. So it was
Yeah.
I had this access to this amazing vinyl collection and tapes of his that I would fall asleep to that were oddly labeled and odd mixtures, where it was Stephen Wright stand up on one side and then Todd Rundgren on the other. And I'm
That's
that's
true.
one of my favorite cassettes. Like that was one of my favorite combo cassettes ever because I was like, no matter what my mood, there's something for it.
Subliminal education. When he was falling asleep, it was comedy and music.
It's to this day, like I need to fall asleep like to something, and it's usually comedy or music.
Oh, really? Wow.
But first, I got a lot of like single cassettes as birthday and random gifts because that was the real popular thing in like the mid to late 80s was the like, we got you a single. And I'm like, you got me 2 songs and I need to flip it over. This is so much work.
Single.
Yeah.
The first album I bought though was for a girl. It was for Jessica Ewing in 6th grade. And it was like the first boy-girl birthday party I was going to go to. And asked her friends, I'm like, what am I supposed to buy her? And they were like, you should get a Runaway Train by Soul Asylum. So that's what I got her. And
Awesome.
yeah, it was like the like 6th grade, like leave it in, like just slide it into the locker.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna give it to you. That'd be insane.
Right.
But then the first one that I really, really remember buying because I was working at this point, like wanted to buy this CD was Blues Traveler's first album, 4.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Yep.
And I went to their 25th anniversary tour of that album a few years ago with my friends I was with when we bought it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was one of those that it was like, this is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. So Mike, what's next? As you mentioned that you've got 21 songs coming. So
Yeah, so that is that's next.
Yeah.
We so early in 2020 in April. So let me step back. The first album, the Darkness and the Light album. Hey, the Darkness and the Light album. We actually finished all my tracking on that by January of 2020.
Oh,
And we were just getting ready to bring in players to do like cello and guitar and background. And then the pandemic hit.
yeah.
So we shut down everything on that record until probably July or August. We didn't do anything with it. In the meantime, in April of that time period, a friend of Danny's, a songwriter from New York, put out a challenge and said, hey, anybody want to try and write a song every day for the month of April?
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I thought, okay, I'll try that. Not really realizing what that would mean. And by day 5, I realized what it meant. But I will say it was a hugely beneficial exercise for me. I wrote every single day into the night, and you were accountable. You had to record something and get it up by the end of the day.
Wow.
And I ended up writing 32 songs because there were 2 songs that one Angie said, that's just too mean. You can't post that. And another one was just too stupid. And so I developed another one. But, Lori and I have talked about this. She was kind enough to do a feature on this whole sequence. There were a lot of family songs, but there were a lot of songs about where we were at that time. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is now I think 10 of those songs are going to be on the new collection of music.
Great.
And they didn't, they've probably been rewritten a little bit, but there's a couple songs that are almost verbatim what I wrote on those days in April of 2020.
Really? Wow.
And, from that exercise, I really started to, one of the other things I've been doing since 2018 is going to more workshops, intersecting with more songwriters and getting feedback on songs, which I never did. I spent a career putting ideas up on a wall so that somebody could have at them.
Yeah.
I saw music as mine. No, I don't want anybody to touch
Right.
it. I don't want any influence, And so that's been a real difference too. And so the other parts of this record, or these two records, it will probably end up being, are songs out of those workshops, and they really push you to, different places and trying different things. And I was just talking to Kyle Rashi, is a friend that I have met through a number of workshops, and now we have one of the songs, the lead song on the new record, which I can tell you the title of, because we just came up with the title. I can't tell you what songs are going to be on it yet, but the title is Particles to Pearls,
Oh, cool.
which is not a title of any of the songs, but it's a line from one of the songs. In fact, it was the first line written in the song, and then I surrounded that with a song called Time. And Kyle worked on it with me, and it's the first time I've done anything like that either, where we didn't set out to do a co-write.
Yeah.
We're just in the same songwriting group, and he really gravitated toward the song, sent me some notes. I said, I just got to call him. We need to talk about this. So we were on the phone for about 3 hours.
Wow.
And since then we've sent the song back and forth, and each had tweaks to it, and now it's recorded.
Nice.
So we started this record in December, and now we have one part that's coming in remotely from Annie Capps, and that'll be the last part to be played. Now we're mixing,
Wow, cool.
and I've got some just awesome players on the record. Dave Roof is acting as engineer and co-producer on it. Mike Gentry produced my last album. He's advising on this one. He's not really producing. He's just offering some advising on it. So it's Dave and I, but Aaron Markowitz, who was that he was part of Escaping Pavement, and they've now split, but he's on his own. Dave Keeney, who is in a band called Houdang from Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
He's doing some guitar. Amy Petty is doing some of the vocal. My friend Judy Brown. Allison and Tessa Weirshak of Giacomo.
Nice.
And then we just had Michael Shimon in to do percussion. The violinist from my first record, Lucy Little, is from Boston, and she did 4 songs remotely. And Bill Sadley was on harmonica on a few songs. So
Awesome.
it's a big cast of characters. But for 21 songs, I don't want it all to sound the same.
Yeah.
And there's songs that are really big, and then there are a number of songs that are really small, really tight. My daughter actually has been playing guitar for about 3.5 years, took it up, and comes and plays out with me sometimes
Oh,
now.
awesome.
And she sang on 5 of the tracks.
That's cool.
So that was a really cool experience to get her in the studio and get the headphones on in front of the mic. Dave Riff is such a pro, and he's so calm and puts you at ease.
Yeah.
He always sets it up beautifully. So
Fantastic.
I'm really excited, about this, because it kind of like the last time where, I've got so many songs. I don't even have some of them memorized yet to play them out. I still need cheat sheets on a couple of them here and there. But I'm starting to do shows. I've got a few shows coming up in February, and then a couple in March, and just booked one in April, and then May and June I've got stuff booked. So
Excellent. So
Yeah.
are you staying Southeast Michigan? Are you moving around, checking out the rest
I'm
of the state?
moving around.
Outside the state?
right now it's all in state, but I plan to do something this summer again out of state. My wife and I did a really fun little tour last fall where we we took a road trip that started in Milwaukee, and I had a gig there, and then we went south to Kansas City, and I have a friend there, Joy Zimmerman, who's a songwriter, and she set up a show there in her backyard. And then we went to Denver, and we have really good friends there who set up a show in their backyard. And then Angie's sister had another show there. And then I went south to Albuquerque, where my sister lives, and I played at a place in Corrales, New Mexico. So we did 5 shows in the first 8 days, and then after that, the rest of it was a road trip along Route 66 on the way back. So we did.
Oh, really?
We did.
So back toward
yeah,
Chicago. Very cool.
13 states in 17 days, 3,300 miles, and
Oh man.
5 shows. So, it was the first time we sort of dipped our toe, other than a couple shows in Ohio, and me going down to Nashville and playing, sort of open mic type things. That was the first thing that I booked stuff, and
Very cool.
I'm looking forward to doing more of that. I've got a couple other artists that are interested in intersecting, going down the East Coast this time toward South Carolina, and even into Atlanta area. So we're going to look at doing that in the summer or fall. But I'm trying to look at festivals this summer.
Yeah.
And trying to do a lot of outdoor like I did last summer.
Awesome. Fantastic. Do you know Jennifer Westwood and Dylan
Yeah,
Dunbar?
yeah. So early in 2020,
Yeah.
we had met her before, but we sort of concurrently started raising money with our online shows. I was doing it through the Gaelic League, but then with No Way to Live, I was doing shows and donating money to the homeless.
Right.
And then, the Michigan Music Alliance on the west side of the state started Spread the Music, started going to the Michigan Music Fund. And then Jennifer said, why don't we do something like that here? So we started joining with her. And I think the first couple of weeks we were able to, she was able to donate maybe, $10, $20,
Right.
prizes or, awards to people.
Yeah.
And by, within a month, she was giving out, $100 gift cards or $100 and, to people in need. And she was doing 12 of them in a week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I remember that because it was exciting. Because I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is such a great idea." You
yeah,
know?
they're amazing, and she was really helpful to Angie and I when we went on the road this summer.
Well, that's why I was thinking of it because I was thinking, it sounds like you're doing what they do is get on the road, book some shows, and travel.
Yeah, and they were really helpful in terms of guiding us. And then once we started, she sent us a note and she says, "Hey, why don't you write a little blog post
Yeah.
and post it, and then tag playing in the playing in Detroit area tonight, and I'll spread it out." And so we did. So every day we were doing some part of our trip
That's
on the
exciting.
road, and it was a good learning experience from that standpoint too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
they're great.
That's fantastic. So, any more videos coming up?
I got to talk to him. I know he's got a movie to make, but I'm gonna need a video for time. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And so
I'm protective of it at this point. Like,
Yeah.
even when he was like, I'm going to have someone else film career advice. I was like, are you?
yeah,
Okay.
he couldn't come in at that time, but he cut it. He did the edit, which was great. It was Charlie Steen shot it. Came up and we did that. That is one take.
Really?
We did that. Yeah, we when we recorded, Steve Cousins, who is in the Codgers, played the accordion, and Dave plays the stand-up bass, and then I play guitar, and that's one take. And we just rehearsed and we played. I think we did like 6 takes all the way through.
Yeah.
And Charlie shot like 4 cameras, and then we sent it to Danny, and we had all this other kind of making of stuff too that we did, shipping in and loading in and stuff like that. And he was able to edit it together. Really fun video.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
That was a fun one.
That's awesome.
It's always fun because I get the opportunity, like each video is kind of a new song, but also like, all right, what are we going to do this time?
Yeah.
And each one we've got to try a new technique and a different style, and
Yeah.
gives us a chance to have some fun together and like push each other a little bit to try something new. So the animated one for Content was,
That's a height, man. That
was really fun, but I don't think I'm going to draw my dad for 13 hours a day for 40 days ever again. Like, just wake up and draw my dad all day.
How many drawings was it?
It was around 4,000.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
Between like, now a lot of them, like the forest and the bridge, I was able to find ways to like draw one image and then recreate it, but I had to still do 4,000 frames. But I think there were 1,700 drawings of him playing.
Wow.
And I filmed him doing it against like a simple background, and then I got a drawing tablet, and I've never done a drawing tablet before, so I had to learn how to draw, not like looking at my hand drawing, but drawing looking up at my monitor.
Wow. Yeah. That would be weird.
So I did a few weeks of tests to figure out how to do it, how many frames per second, because it was filmed at 24, but like, I really don't want to draw 24 frames a second. Like, it's a lot of seconds. It's a 4.5 minute song. So we ended up doing 8 frames a second. It gave it a really cool kind of ethereal look to it,
looks
where
awesome.
it's not quite exact.
Yeah.
And that one was just so much fun to put together and to do, as monotonous and daunting as it was, to just like, what am I going to do today? Oh yeah, just draw my dad.
Well, I will say this. During the other thing that happened during COVID, while I was doing all these songs, he's an editor, and he was able to do some work still, but he was doing these short films every day. He was doing these some of them were little animated films, some of them were live action, comedy things. There were a whole bunch of these day off shorts, he called them.
Awesome.
And one of them,
Short on my days off. I don't like days off.
but one of them he had done was he had taken a poem that he had written, and he had done this beautiful black and white line work animation. And he on the other videos he had come to me with sort of his idea, but I asked him specifically. I said, "Do you think you could do something with Content, because it's about the words, and that was an opportunity to animate the words," and that's what he did.
Awesome.
And it was all on me that I like. The poem of mine that I animated was like a still drawing floated through the screen, like little bits of animation here and there. And I was like, I got an idea. I think I know how to do this. I've never done animation, but it makes sense in my head. And then it was like day 4, and one of my buddies called me and was like, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And I was like, "I don't know what day it is generally, but I know I've been drawing my dad since my memory is just that." And it needed to be, because, it's all about just like, his mouth is a little different here. But then after a few days, like starting to get the rhythm of like, oh, right, his fingers do this, and like being able to guess which was coming next.
Wow.
And that's the fun of it. And that was the joy of it for me during the day off shorts. But then both with my dad and a few other musician friends, like I'm a filmmaker, but I have always, since I was a kid, been like, I want to make movies, but in between movies, want to make music videos because it's an underappreciated art form that has disappeared far too much, in my opinion, from what used to be a very accessible point of music. You know, not just MTV, but like the music video was a thing that you looked forward to. And
it
and
was
I think it's starting to come back with the indie music videos. And that was one of the things we discussed when he put out the album was like, I want to do a few. And then it was really fun through COVID to be able to, one, have the time to do it, but also to figure out ways for us to do things in different ways at different points of safety, at different points of accessibility. They came into New York for 2 days. And it was a really weird trip.
Yeah, it was a weird trip. It was September of 2020.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was still heavily locked down. There was no vaccines at that point. So we're driving with our own pillows, our own, you know, I mean, we're like putting, you know, gallons of sanitizer on us. We've got, you know, he didn't hug my wife.
We didn't hug the whole trip.
Man.
It was the saddest thing ever to say goodbye to my parents, having not hugged them for 2 days. But we shot 2 music videos, and it was really fun getting to work on them together, but more so like figuring out each new one and like, this is where we are now. This is what we can do. How can we make this fun and also fitting to each song?
Like Our Turn to Shine, I think is I think it's a great video. All the lights and all the, he came up with that, the whole thing of all these different light bulbs and all the different ways to make that piece really come alive with a single performer and playing a song that's fairly upbeat and keeping it going.
Yeah. Well, and
it was a fun one to shoot. Green screening light bulbs is a, I'll just say this, don't do it. It's horrible.
well, I was going to say, Danny, when you were talking about like the fact that the art of the music video is somewhat lost, but you guys did a great job of like having different, and I had not thought of the work that goes into it, the thought process that has to go into it, and the imagination to come up with like, you know, we want this one to reflect this, as opposed to, you know, you either get some kind of crazy, it's either a live performance, which everybody's done and seen and 8,000 times, and that's fine. It's got 50 camera angles, great. Or you've got here and there maybe an esoteric kind of video that may or may not capture the spirit of the songs. But it's really interesting to hear you guys talk about that aspect of one, you know, how it was something that you guys could do together artistically, sharing the art of, you know, visual arts plus the music, and then coming up with the different ways of trying to, you know, re-stimulate that whole process of the music video. So I find that very intriguing. It's awesome. And I can't wait.
The last one that he did was in October or September, and I had submitted a song for an October single set from Hudson Harding Music, and they would take the song and put it onto an assembly of other songs, do a playlist. They would actually create physical CDs, send them out, promote it, and they said, you know, it would really be great if you had a video for it beyond just, you know, the album cover and the song. And so I asked him, I said, he listened to the song, and I said, what do you think? And he came up with this, because it's a really sort of dark song about, you know, mental anguish and how people are disconnected. And he came up with this idea of being able to shoot this piece in his 287 square foot studio.
214.
What is it? 214 in Brooklyn, and he shot the whole thing, and it's really quite amazing. And he's in that one, but as a character who is struggling, and It's that
It was
one.
a super fun week.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna be really depressed tomorrow all day.
Awesome.
No, it was really that was one of the more challenging ones because we had such a time crunch
Yeah.
on it that it was like it was the call, can you do this? Are you interested? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And it's like, great. It needs to be done in like 10 days.
Yeah. Because
Like, oh, okay. I guess I'm writing it tonight.
they
And,
wanted to feature it for World Mental Health Day on October
Oh,
10th.
awesome.
So
Which there was the extra motivation there of like, well, I'm not gonna not say yes, but I don't know if me not sleeping is a good sign of support to
Mental health.
cause.
Yeah.
wow.
But it was a really fun one to make. That was one of my favorites actually, technique wise, because each music video I do basically for him or for a few friends that I do music videos for, because those are like passion projects for me as well. I charge basically what I need to buy the new piece of equipment that I want.
Oh, awesome.
And I really wanted an electric slider so I could have a moving camera while shooting myself in something.
Yeah.
And I have a few shots in the video that like I'm in one location of my apartment and then I'm in another in the same shot.
It's pretty cool.
And so again, it's just one of those where it's like, what technique can I teach myself with this project for my dad or for a friend? But especially with him, it's always fun because of his background. He knows what I'm talking about, and we can kind of bounce the idea and figure out exactly what we need to do it.
That's very cool. And I have like I said, a totally a new appreciation for those videos now that I've kind of got the backstory. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch them all now because I'm like, I appreciated them for what they were, the music and the visual presentation. But now having that backstory, I've got to go check it out. So Lori, Steve, Danny, you guys got any questions for Mike?
Yeah, I just have one.
Yeah,
Hey, Mike. So I think didn't you just celebrate the year anniversary of The Darkness and the Light?
Yeah, it was. We released it January 26th. So
Yeah,
it's been out a year.
So now that it's been out a year and you listen back to it, what do you think of it now? Is there anything you think differently of it, or anything that any different impressions at this point?
No, I think there are songs that I don't listen to much, because I listen to them too much, and it was a pleasure to take In the Light and do something with it, because it's a song that almost didn't make it, and the brilliance of a young guitar player named Jimmy Showers of Giacomo and the girls on that totally brought that song to another level in the work that we did on it. And then songs like I just got a note from John Freeman that Americana Museum is going to feature Midnight Fell this month.
Nice.
Oh, wow, cool.
And that's a song I'm super proud of too. Another one that almost didn't make it when we demoed it the first time. It was a much more almost like rocking kind of song. And when we demoed it, I just didn't like it. And I went back home and I slowed it down and found a different way to play it, and I'm so glad it's on the record. So those are the things that I find now. I mean, I'm super proud of it. I'm really proud of No Way to Live as a song, and I get a lot of compliments on it. But I'm just as proud of every track on it. Ken Jacobson just featured on Michigan Folk just featured
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Why
Nice.
Can't That Be Enough,
Yeah.
which is a song about Michigan and about those places in Michigan you like to escape to, but it's written from the standpoint of that place and who really misses who. So I think that's another song that I'm really proud of. Content's a song that I just never get tired of playing. So I have to, I'm playing a whole new set of music these days, and I'm not playing many songs from that record, but it's not for not that I don't like them.
Awesome. Steve, Danny, any questions?
It's been great hearing all this stuff.
I just have to thank Steve.
What's that?
So Steve is part of my high school group, and Steve was married to a woman that I knew from first grade on.
Oh man.
And his wife Pam, who passed away a number of years ago, but Steve has continued to be part of our group from Pam's legacy. And the first time when I introduced We Wonder, and I have the song The Other Side, which is about my family and about growing up in Port Huron a little bit, and he would bring people to my shows. He's the biggest fan that anybody could have.
Awesome.
I mean, I can't thank him enough. It's always great to see him at a show, and I can't thank you enough, Steve.
Hey, Mike, I said, it's been a joy. It's been something that I've enjoyed so much. And the thing is that the relationship, and I didn't know that way back then, but you're keeping that memory of Pam alive too for me. So that's
nice.
That's when I listen to your music, I always think, oh my gosh, Pam knew him and knew him when they were little people, little kids.
That's awesome.
So that's what you've kept Pam alive for me. So I appreciate that.
That's fantastic.
And he's getting my tour bus ready.
Yes.
All right.
He's designing my tour bus.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all so much for being on Fans with Bands. I've got just one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, hopefully it won't put you on the spot or alienate any fans, but it's somewhat controversial. So I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Pineapple or no pineapple on pizza?
Oh, pineapple.
All right.
With ham.
With ham. Okay, so the traditional Hawaiian.
Yep.
All
Hawaiian.
right. All right.
Yep.
Steve,
Yep.
how about you? Pineapple
hard to
or no
find.
pineapple?
Steve, pineapple or no pineapple?
Yeah, pineapple is okay. I mean, like I said, I'm not I'll go with it, but
It wouldn't be your first. It wouldn't be your first choice.
Right,
You're
absolutely.
saying, but all right, good, all right. Lori.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, excellent. Any particular favorite combo with the?
I think I like it on barbecue chicken pizza too, to be honest. I put it
Oh,
on, yeah, like we made it that way in the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
And really
That
like
makes sense.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
So that's another way to enjoy it.
Yeah, Danny, how about you?
Oh yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah,
One, I like the flavor. Two, I love pissing my best friend off. And oh god, he's gonna call me in a rage of. It's just yeah.
Oh,
it gives
man.
me all kinds of joy, flavor, and pissing off the best friend.
awesome. Any particular combo that you like to go with the pineapple? Traditional?
I mean,
or-
I do think the traditional ham is a great combo.
Yeah.
I agree with Lori. Barbecue chicken can be really good as well. I've also done jalapeno.
Yeah,
and,
that's the other one I keep
Yeah,
hearing
that's
about.
a good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
I
know,
forgot
it's
about that
nice
one.
because you get the spice and then like the
Yep.
acidic sweetness
Yeah.
that kind of tangs
Yeah.
it down.
That will never happen in this palate.
Yeah.
I have an Irish palate and no jalapenos,
Wow.
very little spice.
I was gonna say no spices.
Yeah, very little spices. Yeah.
Awesome.
And my wife is a great Italian cook, and when I first met her, it was like, well, I don't know if I can eat garlic. She's gotten me there, and she's gotten me to a few other places. Now my daughter she's getting me even. She's inching
Pushing,
me further,
yeah.
even though my
I was gonna
stomach. I
say,
don't know. If,
you've pushed pretty far. You've actually tried some things that have some kick
Oh.
and survived.
Is your wife?
come.
Is your
You
wife?
didn't perform
pineapple?
afterwards, but
Yeah. Is your
Oh,
wife a
she likes
fan?
pineapple. Yeah, she'll eat the pineapple.
Oh, hey.
There she is.
So do you prefer pineapple or is it just okay?
No, I like pineapple, but I'd have to go with bacon
Oh,
and pineapple,
Oh yeah.
not ham.
yeah.
Like that nice honey-soaked bacon with pineapple, and you know. And I agree with Lori with the chicken, along with even with that.
You know-
barbecue, like, just load it up.
Jolly Pumpkin in Ann Arbor, when
Yes.
they first opened. Oh, we got an echo, Ange. I think that's
I
you.
think that's your car.
I'll
alarm.
go off. Yeah, I'll go off.
When they first opened in Ann Arbor, they had a pizza that was like the candied bacon and
that's right.
pineapple.
Yes,
And
I remember
that
that.
was
That was
like sensational. They don't have it anymore, which is a bummer.
Yeah. Maybe we can petition them to get that back.
I think so.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for being on Fans with Bands again. Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. That was fun.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks to Mike, Steve, Danny, Lori, and Angela for joining me on this episode of Fans with Bands. Mike Ward is putting the finishing touches on his next album. In the meantime, go get a copy of his latest album, The Darkness and the Light. Then, get over to the Corktown Music Festival in Detroit on March 4th and catch Mike live at the Gaelic League at 8 p.m. Be sure to get the 2-day pass to the Corktown Music Festival on March 4th and 5th, as you can check out a wide variety of bands, including some Fans with Band alumni, such as Ladyship Worship, Warhorses, The Whiskey Charmers, and Edison Hollow. Tickets are low dough $20 for the 2-day pass, featuring over 75 bands. See the show notes for all the details and links. These are tough times for everyone in the creative industries such as music. Your support of live streaming, purchasing music, and merchandise is critical. If you can help out your local artists, please do. If you are in the Michigan area, consider following the Playing in the Detroit Area Tonight Facebook page. It is a place for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show and leaving a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jams.